Yes, hi, my name is Kelly, and I have two sons. One is 19 and one is 16. And when my older son was 8 years old, he was diagnosed with something called Asperger's syndrome, which I really didn't know too much about at that time. It is on the autistic spectrum, which is a scary thing to hear as a parent, but he's very high functioning, but extremely socially awkward. So in school, he was being bullied. He didn't have any friends at the playground. He was getting picked on. It was very hard to watch as a mom. And so when I would take him to therapists and doctors and talk to the teachers, they would all tell me that most likely he would not graduate high school and he would probably not live independently, and that I should make arrangements for him, thinking about group homes. And I just remember walking around my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was so upset, and my husband said, "Kelly, I'm worried about you if something bad ever happens." And I thought to myself, something bad is happening. I was very upset. And I had a really good friend, and she sat down with me and she said, I have a friend whose son had similar issues. And he went to a place called the Summit Center for Learning and saw this wonderful woman named Dr. Natalie Ellman, and did this program called the Kids Konnections for social skills. And it really changed his life. And she said, "Why don't you give her a call?" And I did. And I went in and I brought Justin with me, and Dr. Ellman met with him, and she sat down with me, and it was the first time anyone ever said to me, "Kelly, there is nothing wrong with your son. He's very smart. He is a little adult. He is the rule police, and kids his age are not going to like that, and that's why he's having problems. But we can correct that. That's what we do here." And so that's when I put him into the Kids Konnections program, and within 3 months, the bullying stopped. His self-esteem was so much better. He was so much happier. Even the teachers started to comment that maybe it wasn't so bad. The doctor started saying, well, maybe it's not so bad, and I just started to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I did end up sending him to boarding school, and he actually did so well there that they asked him to teach a social skills class, because some of the kids who came from different countries were having a difficult time looking people in the eye and having a back and forth conversation. And the head counselor said, "Justin, you're so good at all that. Would you please, show them how it's done?" And they had no idea that he even had any problems. So I just feel that was one of the best things I did for him. And the thing I loved about the program also, which empowered me, was that I would get a sheet after the session and we put it on the refrigerator. So it was something that I could work with him. We did role playing, and I felt that I was actually helping him with the lessons. So it just made me feel so much better as well. So I will always be appreciative to the Kids Konnections program. I think it was wonderful. It was one of the best interventions, actually the best intervention that we did for Justin. I think he would tell you the same thing.
How old is he now?
He's 19.
So how's he doing now?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked that. For all those experts out there who said he would never graduate high school, he graduated high school, boarding school actually, #1 in his class, and he is now at Duke University, and he is #1 in his class. And there's a lot of them that are #1 in the class at Duke, because that's just the way it is. But the best thing is he's got friends. He has friends, really good friends, and I never thought that would be possible. I think one of the most difficult things ever is to hear that there's something wrong with your child. You never want to hear it. And when people start saying that to you, you automatically defend against it. You can't help it. You think, oh no, there can't be. But inside, I knew something was wrong, because after I had my second child, I saw how easily he was able to fit into a group and talk to people back and forth. The biggest problem my older son, Justin, had was that he would talk incessantly about something, like a robot, constantly, forever. And it was so annoying. It was annoying to me, and it was annoying to everybody around him. So as much as I didn't want to admit that there was something wrong. I knew inside that there was, but at the same time, I knew it wasn't as bad as what they were saying. I knew he wasn't going to be in a group home, but it's a very scary thing because you're putting yourself in the hands of these experts, and we saw everybody. We saw people in the city, the specialists, the best of the best, and they were all saying these things, and it was so it was heartbreaking. I just kept thinking, why isn't it me? Let it be me, not him. I have been spoken to many parents because I'm very out. I don't hide it. I don't feel like it's a private thing. I tell everybody what I've been through because if somebody can benefit from it, I think it's a good thing. And I do tell them to get it. They have to get a diagnosis. Absolutely, 100%. They need to make sure that they have a diagnosis. And then once you have a diagnosis, that's not who your child is. Just because you have the diagnosis doesn't mean that's who it is. And that's what I loved about Dr. Ellman. She just said, I don't believe in it. I'm not going to put a label on him. I refuse to do that. And it was such a liberating thing that I didn't have to think of him as the Asperger. He's the Asperger's kid. He's Justin. He's got some quirks. He's got, he does talk incessantly, but that really stopped within, maybe like a month. He stopped doing that incessant talking and that robotic talking. It was really amazing because the nice thing about the way the groups are is it's other kids, so the other kids will give you feedback immediately, like it's boring, Justin, don't do this. And that's what's so great about the way the program is run, because he got immediate feedback, and then he saw, this is not working for me, and then we would have it on the refrigerator and he and I would work on it, and then it was constantly being reinforced, and it really worked. So I would say, get the diagnosis, but that's not who your child is. There's always hope. And I am just a huge proponent of social skills, and of course the Kids Konnections program, which I think is just the best program. So that's what I would tell them. I think this particular approach worked for my son because many of the other interventions that we tried, they wanted to delve into what it felt like to be bullied or what it felt like to need to talk incessantly. And what her approach is, she doesn't care why. She just finds ways to stop it. It's not working for you, so let's just change it, and this is how we're going to do it. So it's a behavior modification approach, which is so much better for him. And she had these great wallets, and she would hand out money. And so he was getting, every time he would do something, like not talk incessantly or not be the rule police or not be the little adult and tell everybody what to do, he would get rewarded. And he loved that. And it was just something for him to latch onto, and he took it to heart. And then we would go home and practice. And so it just was the perfect thing for him. It just gave him exactly what he needed. One of the cool things was that he responded to was that they have these great little wallets. And so every time they do something positive, in his case, if he didn't speak incessantly, if he didn't boss anyone around, if he wasn't the rule police telling people what to do, he would get what they call a center buck. And it was it's like a play money, like Monopoly money, and they actually get a stack of it throughout if they behave properly, if they do what they're supposed to do, and then at the end they can buy a prize, and that was his favorite part.
If you only had one last opportunity to say what you would love to say directly to Dr. Ellman, what would it be?
I would just tell you thank you from the bottom of my heart. You were the kindest person. I was very, very fortunate to find you. And I just don't think, I don't know what would have happened with Justin had I not found you and had I not found the program. And I will always be grateful.